We need to set up a bit of a framework to talk about the Enneagram, and I think a very useful one is to take a step back and look at what they call the centers of energy, or the centers of intelligence in the body. And we do have 3 centers within the body, which are self-evident when you begin to look at the body. There's the thinking center, which we're all familiar with. Yeah. That's where we do our thinking. That's the intellectual kind of activity. We can feel that when we're thinking that there's stuff going on up there. There's the heart center, obviously around the heart. When we're having strong emotions, we can actually physically feel those emotions in the heart. And we have expressions like broken heart that relate to that. And then we have the gut center, which is around the stomach, and it has the instinctive or instinctual energies that are there, and they protect us physically. You know, when we're physically threatened, we can feel the gut contract. So these energy centers are really the source of our life. That's the way life flows through us. But we tend to want to protect those centers in the challenges of life. And when we come in as babies, for instance, it's a pretty rough ride coming down the birth canal. Even that, it's traumatic for the mother, or can be traumatic for the mother. I would guess it's probably fairly traumatic for the little baby. When the baby comes into the world and there's lights and noise and stuff going on, and the probably ways in which they develop to try and protect themselves from those challenging conditions. As we grow up and go to school and become adults even, we run into situations which are difficult, and sometimes they're traumatic even. So we have this need to not fully be exposed to the overwhelming nature of some of these experiences. And we start building up our coping strategies. And we wouldn't be here today if we hadn't developed those coping strategies. They keep us safe, and they kept us safe from things as children which we wouldn't have been able to cope with. The problem with this is, as we go through life, we continue to keep building these coping strategies. And they become what I call the shells of personality. And they go around the centers that I talked about. So they go around the head center, and around the heart center, and around the gut center. Not only do they keep us safe, they cut us off from the experiences of life. And we lose connection with others. We lose connection with the beauty of life. And the danger is that as we progress through life, those shells get thicker and thicker and more rigid and more inflexible, and the very essential qualities of life can't really flow through. And there's a poster I saw once, and up the top of the poster it had 3 beautiful little babies giggling, laughing, very, very happy. And down the bottom there were 3 grumpy old men. And the poster said, what happened. And what happened, of course, was that we continued to build these shells around our essential qualities and our essence and our connection with life, and we just became these empty shells, unable to accept, unable to access all that wonderful natural qualities that we all have. So nothing's gone away, it's just that we've covered it over with our coping strategies. There's a beautiful saying, with trauma, play ends, and vigilant self-care begins. With trauma, play ends, and vigilant self-care begins. And when I'm talking about trauma there, it can just be the little challenges of life. It can also be serious trauma. But our need is to keep ourselves safe, and that's the vigilant self-care. And unfortunately, there is a cost in that vigilant self-care, because we're constantly using our coping strategies to protect ourselves from the day-to-day things in life, which mightn't be that threatening at all. And so begins and continues our journey down the levels of health of the Enneagram.